Hello again. This little how-to is going to tell you guys how to build a Zsphere hand. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through this, and I'm not going to make a beautiful piece, but pretty much I want you guys just to get the idea that it is possible to make hands with Z-spheres, and if you're prototyping a character, often this is kind of a cool, fast way to go. All right, so I'm making an arm at the shoulder, so shoulder, elbow, and I'm just going to rotate the arm forward, and then I'll build my hand off of the end here. Okay, so kind of how I approach this is to build, this would be the base of the metacarpals, and then I'll build another sphere with just not much distance between that and the base, and this is going to be kind of the end of the metacarpals, right? So it's going to be base, and the thumb is going to spring off the inside of this one, right? So the thumb kind of comes off in its own unique angle, and so I'm just going to block this in like so. We can adjust the scale of these things as we go, and the angle looks about right, to be honest. It kind of comes off a little bit obliquely off the side, as we know. So I'm just going to rotate it around like this and probably rotate it forward. And I'll just draw a little extension on it. So for the next kind of phalanges, and I'll adjust that in a minute. I'm going to get to the main fingers first. So looking down the top angle of the hand, I'm just going to rotate this. So I have kind of looking down the axis, and then I'm just going to grab the draw brush and make 4 small little fingers. And the point is to make these small, because if they're too big, they'll start to overlap, and you'll start to get funny things when you pull them out. And that's this kind of transparent thing where you start to get intersecting bases, right? So we'll make them small, and then we can adjust the scale once we have them in place. Okay, so we just do 4, 2, and be careful, 3, and this one's just going to come right off the side, and we can grab the move brush and just kind of slide them around a little bit. In fact, we can move them up to the top so they look kind of like they're at the top of the hand. And then we can grab draw and just put the rest of our fingers in, move it to top view, and now we can move them out. And as we move them out, we're just kind of paying attention to the lengths of the fingers. We can roughly adjust the orientation of these. Maybe take the pinky off to the side a little bit. Get the third finger, 1, 2, 3, going right down the center-ish, and get the index finger coming off next to it. Okay, and roughly get the lengths correct. Again, all these things are quite flexible when you're working in Z-spheres, because really it's just a click. And looking at this, you might say, hey, something's way out of proportion, and I think the thumb might be too thick as it is right now, so we just scale things down and adjust it as we go. Even more probably. Okay, but again, we need to kind of pay attention to the lengths of these things. So the thumb is going to be metacarpal. It's going to be, there's a little bit of length to the metacarpal, and so we probably want to get to be about here, and then we will switch to kind of create our next digit. So the first phalanx and the second phalanx. This guy's quite a bit too long. This guy's probably a little bit too short. Okay, so that's going to be the start of our hand. Since we have these drawn out, we can adjust the scale a little bit now. So a click in there. We'll select that sphere, and we can kind of scale the base. And it's a little easier to control when you have the ends already established, which is why I did it like this. Okay, and then we can kind of just start to, if we consider these are base knuckles almost, the points of rotation, we can start to just proportion our knuckle distribution in kind of using the rule of thumb that we've known. So halfway between the base and the end is roughly here, and then a third of the way down, and 2/3, if you divide it into thirds, is the next digit, right? And same again, roughly like so. So again, half from here to here, and then 1/3 and 2/3. Give you something like that. A quick adaptive skin using the A key will show you this, and obviously there's volume problems, but topologically things are pretty sound, meaning we have a starting point. It's never going to be as good as what you get with kind of a custom base mesh, but it is pretty useful sometimes to just be able to go in and prototype this. And you'll see as I start to rotate this that it does good things as far as handling the rotations. And let me just quickly put a little volume change in here at the base of the wrist, just to put a little taper. And I'll just kind of drop a couple more in here. So hey, it's a little bit of a cartoon arm, but as we kind of know, you can do crazy things with polygons once we subdivide and start sculpting. So we could make this as beautiful as we wanted it. Okay, let me just quickly show you rotation on the fingers. Quick look down the axis to see if everything's cool, and it's roughly okay. So you can do a few things to rotate the fingers. You can actually grab the joint or grab above the joint on the intermediate kind of branching spheres and rotate that. Again, it pays to be locked into an orthogonal view if you want to get these things locking on an axis, so your fingers don't go crooked. And you see that's pretty easy to establish this gesture. So the kind of a little pointy finger. And then if we rotate on the right axis for the thumb that we want to bend it, we can do things like this. Actually, that didn't work too successfully. We'll grab it like that. Okay, so we can quickly gesture that, and again, you have the capability to then change the pose of your arm as well, right? Or swing it down, or you know, we don't want to grab it really there, but you get the idea. Okay, so that's a quick block, and that should get you started. From here, it's simply going in and doing a adaptive skin, and you can turn on preview. That's the short. I've been using A as a shortcut to turn on preview. This will show you what your topology is going to look like, and again, you'll have to kind of adjust some of the volumes in the palm, but actually you'll see with a kind of low intensity smooth brush, you can do that just almost with a single stroke and get this into some condition that's slightly better than what it starts in. Right, so smooth brush does wonders for establishing volumes and reducing volumes. And so that's just a quick preview of the adaptive skin. It's starting on 2 subdivisions. This is actually the base level. So you can see we have good angles in the fingers that correspond to the joints we put, and this kind of matches the quality that we were getting from our base mesh for the fingers anyways. So a good starting point. And from here, if you're happy with what you have, you can hit make adaptive skin, and everybody kind of knows these steps already, but it takes you to here, and then you can kind of sculpt to your heart's content. Right, so We can divide and divide and divide and maybe divide again. We'd leave it here for now. And then it's just what we've kind of already seen in practice. You know, we can go in and just quickly adjust and put in our different kind of volumes on the thumb side and the pinky side. One of the nice things about Z-spheres is you get poly meshes or poly groups for free, right? And actually, sometimes you get too many of them. If I just take this off, show all these, and turn my colors on, you'll be able to see that you get one pretty much for each Z-sphere. So it's quite a few to start with, but you can quickly combine them, you know, if you just kind of get what you want. And group visible. Don't like that one. So that would be kind of the base of the palm. And then down in poly groups, you can just go in group visible, and we have a pretty good starting selection to sculpt on. And then we're off to the races and working up these kind of forms, probably flattening out some planes on the areas that are too sharp or too rounded, sorry, and put the fingers back on, start to turn my intensity down a little bit, put some planes in, take some volume out of the hand, get rid of these. I'm not going to continue this too much further, but I hope you guys see that from a fairly kind of quick start in Z-spheres, you can quickly get to something that's posed and generally workable as far as topology goes, right? You could do a lot worse, and we could easily spend about an hour to make this into a pretty nice looking arm sculpt with a, you know, passable planes anyways for the fingers. It would take some refining to get in there and make it beautiful. But as you saw, the base mesh approach also takes time to make beautiful. Okay, so I'll just turn this off. And I do like Z-spheres. They actually are pretty useful for really just sketching out ideas. And if I just have a crazy character design idea or something, I can go in with Z-spheres and just really get all the appendages I want, and then have it posed. And then, you know, depending on what I want, I can dynamesh it and just continue to refine, or just work up a subdivided mesh like we're doing here, right? So very flexible, and I like him. So consider putting them into your workflow for certain instances. This last digit of the thumb is too long. Right, so that's the end. I'm not going to do any more, even though I'm tempted. I'll spare you guys. So just a quick flip back to the Z-spheres. So really, that's it. Like, you can do really quickly, get to a starting point anyways. And that is worth a lot when it comes to just starting out. Okay, so put Z-spheres in your arsenal for hands and for your little character sketches. Thanks.